Hello and welcome to another edition of What to Watch with Your Popcorn. I'm Dave.
And I am Rob, and today we're going to be reviewing the 1975 parody, The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother, starring Gene Wilder, which he also wrote and directed. So here's the synopsis of it. Alright, so the story of Smarter Brother is Gene Wilder plays Sigerson Holmes, who is Sherlock Holmes' younger brother. Sigerson is very jealous of his brother. He's constantly living in his brother's shadow, and he's always looking for a case that can show that he's just as capable, maybe even better than Sherlock. One day his brother gives him a case that he doesn't want. It's delivered to him by a man named Orville Sacker, played by Marty Feldman, who later becomes Sigerson's companion during the film. The case involves blackmail, and it also involves a missing document that could start a big war if it goes into the wrong hands. Madeline Kahn plays a character named Jenny Hill who is somehow involved, and Professor Moriarty, played by Leo McKern, is trying hard to get the document and sell it off. And also there's a blackmailer involved named Eduardo Gambetti, played by Dom DeLuise. Now this film came out after Gene Wilder had worked with Mel Brooks in a lot of his parodies like Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, and he also had done some serious work like Bonnie and Clyde and of course Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. No, Gene probably wanted to strike out on his own, so he made a deal with Fox to make a series of films in which he would write, direct, and star, with Smarter Brother being the first. After watching this movie, I could kind of tell that this was Gene Wilder's first one as a director. There's a few odd shots here and there, and there's a few moments that are supposed to be funny that don't really work, but there are some good moments here and there. Gene Wilder gives a fine performance as Sigerson. Marty Feldman, when he's given stuff to do, is very well, but sometimes he's kind of put into the background. And thankfully, Gene did not copy Mel Brooks's over-the-top style here. It's definitely more gentle, and it's a little bit more of a somewhat different style. So I think it's definitely a good idea that he didn't copy Mel Brooks's style. And of course, I think the parody does a very good job of having the photography being a little bit faithful to the color Holmes films that were made at the time, especially this shot after the opening credits. The way it's shot, it reminded me of how The Hound of the Baskervilles with Peter Cushing was lit. So it was Smarter Brother. It's got some good moments. It's not a perfect comedy, but I think it's definitely got some good moments to enjoy. So that's my take on it, Dave. It's an alright comedy.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you in some ways, how you don't think it's like a Mel Brooks film. In some cases I felt it kind of was, because like not the whole thing, but there's certain parts that makes it feel like you're watching a Mel Brooks film, because sometimes the slapstick is the same and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think the Gene Wilder's approach is not quite as over the top as what Mel Brooks did, is what I'm saying. I mean, I think he's definitely going with a different style with this movie, and I think it was a good idea to do that, not to copy Mel Brooks. I think that was a very important decision.
There was one gag though that kind of was similar to Young Frankenstein that I thought. There was the one part where Marty Feldman, he goes to Gene Wilder's office in the beginning, and then he asks him if he's Sherlock Holmes' brother, and then Gene says, "No, his name's not Sherlock, it's sheer luck." That kind of reminded me of the part in Young Frankenstein. Marty asks Gene, is your name Frankenstein? He says Frankenstein instead.
Yeah, maybe he does. Well, he co-wrote that script, so maybe he was kind of recycling there, but I mean, it seems like he's still using a little bit of Mel Brooks. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he is using some of Mel Brooks's his association to help him with this picture. Like, he uses Mel Brooks's stock company, like Marty Feldman and Madeline Kahn and Dom DeLuise, and he's also using, I found out that he was using his, the same person that scored Mel Brooks' other movies, John Morrison. He also used his choreographer.
Yeah.
And Gene used Roy Kinnear as Professor Moriarty's henchman from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So he's surrounding himself with people that he's worked with before that he trusts, because this is his first movie and he probably wants a little bit of support with it there. But I'm not saying this is a bad movie. I think there's some good moments, but I mean, I think it's got some, it has some faults. But one thing I gotta say, Leo McKern as Professor Moriarty steals this picture, in my opinion. And some people might disagree with me, but I think Dom DeLuise does as well as the blackmailer. They both, I think, gave much better performances than probably the three leads.
I like it when Leo McKern, he would shout out yes, yes every time somebody tells him something.
Yeah, I that was one of the things I didn't think worked. I mean, I think that to me, I don't know if Wilder was trying to make fun of when Moriarty's freaking out in like past Holmes films, but I mean, I think that that was a comedy scene that just didn't work for me. I didn't understand what he was trying to do there. I didn't think it worked at all.
What did you think of the sword fighting scene at the very end, though, when they're standing on the ledge of the building?
Well, it's got some. The way it's shot and edited, it's very exciting. But Gene Wilder was trying to throw some funny things in here and there, and I don't think they really worked, in my opinion. I've seen better fight scenes in comedies like Monkey Business with the Marx Brothers, where Zeppo is fighting somebody and Groucho, Harpo, and Chico are providing a few funny things here and there, and I think that probably came off. Yes, okay, so that's our take on Smarter Brother. We're both saying you can watch this with your popcorn, but it sounds like Dave enjoyed it a little bit more than I did, so if you go ahead and feel free to leave any comments that you have about the video or about the movie. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.